Hi all, it's Jan of the Jan Files. I hope you will support my YouTube channel. I want to talk about immigration, and then I'm going to talk about a few other things. But I just want to say we all hear this idea that, that people who come from immigrants say, well, they should just do it the right way, the way my family did. Well, folks, that has been dramatically different over the years. From 1892 to 1954, 12 million people passed through Ellis Island. And in order to get through the island, you just had to be healthy. And you were allowed in. And if you were in first and second class cabins, you didn't even have to get off the boat. They just checked to make sure you were healthy, and off you went. And you were into the country. Now, you had to wait. There was a legal residency requirement of 5 years. After that, you could become a citizen, and it often only took 2 weeks. And that pretty much stayed in place until 1924. In 1924, we started imposing quotas. And those quotas were based on how many people and the population, et cetera, et cetera. But it was still a way to manage who they wanted to come in to the United States. It favored white nations, quote, white Nordic nations, and not other populations like Italy or Spain, etc., or Mexico. They wanted people that looked like them, right, who were making the laws. And so that was put in place in 1924. There was another quota put in place in 1965. And in I'm flipping through my notes. You had caps per country, and you had to wait until a spot opened up in terms of when you could then immigrate. You still had to, once you got here, had to have a residency requirement, etc. But it was not anything like today. These procedures that were put in place were manageable, and people were able to make this happen compared to today in a relatively short period of time. There are literally people now who, have families from Mexico that want somebody to come in and live with them and stuff. That can take years and years and years, literally. And we've seen the stories of people who are going to their hearings now because they have to keep up with their hearings. They're in the process. This process can last for years. And those same people now are being dragged out of the country. They're being deported. So this idea that people whose parents came over in the 50s or 60s, it was a different day. And now there are far more complicated rules. And once again, we're back to the racial profiling of Donald Trump not wanting people from certain shithole countries. So this idea that, these holier than thou people say, oh, well, my, came over whenever. Yeah, and it was a lot easier. At one point, for a good portion since 1892 and up, they didn't want any Asians. Asians were barred from coming into this country. Did you know that? I didn't know that. They were absolutely barred. Even though in the earlier 1800s, the Chinese had come and they had literally built our railroads. So we have a history of racism. It is institutionalized, always has been, and it has impacted greatly our immigration system. And there is now, it's totally screwed up. It's just one of those things that needs to burn down and be rebuilt, because we have to start from a place that is humane and fair and be able to have, especially those people who have been working here and trying to do the right thing, give them that opportunity. We don't do that. And so screw you who all of you say, you know, well, my grandparents, yeah, my grandfather's parents came over from Ireland. They went through Ellis Island. They came over in the 1800s. And I'm not sitting here going, well, my grandparents, no. This is all about it. At the end of the day, as in so many things, it comes down to racism. Period. So that's my little thing on immigration. I think that this whole ICE debacle is not only going to continue, it's probably going to get worse with this new idiot in charge who has a problem maintaining his composure and keeping his hands to himself. So Mark Mullen was just sworn in, and John Fetterman should rot in hell as far as I'm concerned, because he was a Democrat that allowed that to happen. Thank you. Now, I also want to talk about something else, because today I was doing more homework on, because the Save America Act is profoundly scary. It would deeply impact me as a married woman, and the need to have the same identity, you know, birth certificate or passport as whatever. You know, it's ridiculous. It's a form of voter suppression, and there's no other way to describe it. Now, as we all know, Heritage Foundation has said that there have only been so many instances of voter fraud from 1990. I always get this wrong. Let's just say 1992 to 2025. Or is it 1982? Hold on one second. Let me see if I have that. Well, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So they have actually a fraud map. And I didn't know this. So you can go in, they have a database where you can put in a state and see how many people have been arrested for this, for that, for, you know, absentee ballots, or people, you know, voting more than once and stuff like that. So over all of this time, with over 1.5 billion votes, okay, through this period of time, there is 1,600 incidences of criminal activity. Now, that doesn't mean that it's about people who are not citizens voting. This, you know, it's like felons voting. That's one thing. Or it's about somebody deliberately like stacking ballots and stuffing a ballot box, you know, stuff like that. That's all included. And think about that. When you break that down and you look at how many people per year were doing something they shouldn't have been, it's like 30. So if you go on the Heritage Foundation website, you can see it's a map of the United States. It's by state, and you can you have different search functions. You can also just explore the total number versus just by state. I suggest you do it. And I suggest you show that to a lot of people who utter this nonsense, or, you know, take that link and put it someplace that you're sharing information, because it's really important. This whole Save America Act is, as I've said before, is a solution looking for a problem that doesn't exist. But this almost scares me more than anything, because our right to vote is in danger, in grave danger. And between the threats to end mail-in balloting, to end, now the Supreme Court looks like it'll probably end the ability to count a vote that came in after the election. And remember that now the dates on the ballots could be really screwed up because of what the post office is doing, which is not necessarily dating things by when they came in. This is all part of the plan, folks. So we all have to stress this and talk about this. Again, it's a Heritage Foundation, and you can go and see it for yourself and show others, because it's really worth a look. And I want to talk about Iran war. So Donald Trump is certifiable as far as I'm concerned. He literally said today that he got a present from Iran, and it was worth a lot of money, but he wasn't going to tell anybody what it was. He has said that we have won the war, and then 5 minutes later saying, we're negotiating. Excuse me. So either we won it or we didn't. Excuse me. Got something in my throat. So the man is certifiable, and that the fact that anybody is continuing to allow this from the Republican side and not call it out at this point means that and I think we all knew this, we will never, ever be able to count on them to do the right thing. I think some of us might have thought war may be a bridge too far, and maybe it is for some certain individuals that are starting to drop, but this is the most horrific thing that I can imagine the Republicans to do, is to put American soldiers in harm's way for no fucking reason. We have accomplished nothing. Yeah, we might have destroyed their navy or whatever, but they still have the ability to close down the Straits of Hormuz. They still have ballistic weapons. They still have nuclear uranium, nuclear grade uranium, I think. And they could devastate the Middle East by blowing up desalination plants or other energy facilities. These people are dug in. There's 90 million of them, folks. This is not a tiny little country. And while lots of people would love, I'm sure, in Iran for the regime to go, there are also lots of people who don't want the regime to go, who believe in this. So we've done nothing. We've done literally fucking nothing other than, allowed Bibi to drag us by the hand right into this war. We're responsible, so I'm not just saying it's only Israel. It's Israel and us for this awful, awful thing that is happening. And Donald Trump is certifiable. I don't know at what point somebody can't say, we got to do something behind closed doors. But I guess not. Nobody has a set of balls or a set of ovaries. For real. And lastly, I just want to talk about Epstein. Two things. One, it appears that there were people in Epstein's jail shredding documents after he was found dead. And they have somebody who brought it to the FBI, and guess what? Nothing. Nada. So that's now breaking. And that is, it's part of that one is not necessarily directly attached to, the victims in the sense that it was directly relatable to them, but it is relatable to the whole network of this world, this obscene world. And the fact is that obviously, in my belief, they wanted to silence him. So, which they were successful at. Bill Barr went there earlier than they, and he's gone. So you can take from that what you will, but that's some news. The other thing that I'm going to kind of give you a heads up on, because I will go through it tomorrow, is the depositions from Endyke and Khan. Endyke was Epstein's lawyer, and Khan was his accountant. Are now we're able to look at them and read them. What is clear is that both of them have been lying. They are both in Epstein's files thousands of times. In regard to the lawyer, there are victims who said that he told them not to talk to the police. So this is all part and parcel of this whole egotistical, entitled thing that happens when you know you can lie and there's nothing that anybody can do about it. So I'm going to look at that, see more about what's in there tomorrow, but I don't know. Do you sometimes just want to close your eyes and go, okay, it's a year from now? I mean, I don't want to lose time and I have kids, but I mean, it just seems it's never ending. And I know I'm not alone in that. I do hope you will follow me on YouTube. It is important. I want to build not only in terms of being able to have more of an audience, but also being able to build something a little bit bigger so that we can engage with one another. I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but I'm really interested in having conversations with people too. So I haven't gotten to that yet. But anyway, take care of yourself. Stay safe in these amazingly unbelievable times. Stay safe. Find your joy. Take care.